Back with us on the SportsMax Zone, an unbroken 136-run stand between Ollie Pope, 91, and Joss Butler, 56, lifted England out of a hole against the West Indies on day one of the third and deciding match in their #Raise the Bat series at Old Trafford. When bad light stopped play after 85.4 overs had been bowled, England reached 258 for 4. Now, already fans are talking about the wisdom behind the decision of Jason Holder to put England into bat after winning the toss. The Windies dropped Alzarri Joseph, replacing him with Rakeem Cornwall in their only change to the team from the 2 previous tests. Cornwall bowled 21 fruitless overs, conceding 71 runs and logging 4 maidens. Kemar Roach has 2 for 56 so far from 18.4 overs, while Roston Chase has 1 for 24 from 8 overs and 1 run-out, running out Joe Root. Speaking at the end of the day's play, Windies vice-captain Craig Brathwaite defended the decision to bowl first.
In the team, we had a plan, and obviously to bowl first, and pretty even day. Obviously, a very good partnership thus far. From the two at the crease, but I think tomorrow, we gotta start back well, and look to limit them to as least as possible. Moisture in the wicket we found as a team, and we just want to utilize it. As I said, they got a good partnership, but I don't think we're out of it, to be honest. I think once we come out tomorrow and control the scoring rate, as I said, a bit of pressure. I think we could get some wickets in the morning. So that was basically the plan. I think, obviously we know we got to start well, but by that, we don't have to rush wickets. I think if we build pressure by, a lot of dot balls and, no boundary balls, I think that will create pressure to bring wickets. I think we don't have to rush it down, forcing it. I think once we can keep it tight in the morning session, I believe the tightness will bring some wickets.
That's the Windies vice-captain Craig Brathwaite. To help us review the day's play, his former Windies pacer Tina Best and former Fantasy World Cup winning captain, but a proper cricket analyst, David Brooke. Gentlemen, welcome to the SportsMax Zone.
Thanks very much, George.
All right.
Yeah, good evening, George.
Good. I started with you, Tina, yesterday. You opened the bowling. I'm going to give the new ball to David Brooke today. David, what we saw today was consolidation from England, patience. The West Indies there were periods in the last session where the Windies bowlers looked a bit tired, as if a little bit of the display window starch had been knocked out of them. And so, would you say honours to England at the end of the first day?
Definitely, George. Honours to England. And there was an air of predictability about proceedings today. I wish the guys had watched the last couple of episodes of The Zone, because we've been saying that West Indies bowlers look tired and they should make some changes. And Shannon Gabriel limped off after 4 overs. And when he came back, he was bowling within himself. You just thought, with all that strength that they've got on the bench, in the 15 and in the reserves, why is it that West Indies not putting out 11 people who are raring to go? I wonder what Alzarri Joseph thought about that selection. Is it last in, first out? Is it because he's the junior bowler? I was surprised to see him left out. If West Indies are thinking about any plans to win this game, they should have had the strongest possible bowling attack. And the decision to field first was curious, because we've seen that. It's the same thing that happened in the last test. And are we going to get the same result again? So, very disappointing. Hard to see what the plan was. Craig Brathwaite there speaking about a plan. Hard for the neutral to discern what the plan was. And when you've got 25 players staying in the same hotel, you haven't got to fly anyone in. It is ridiculous that some sort of financial rather than cricketing reasons should stop West Indies from picking the best possible team out of all the players they've got here. And I think with so many players raring to go, it's a great shame that we didn't see some surprise factors introduced, something that's going to take England by surprise, either a new face with the bat or a new face with the ball. Okay, Rakeem Cornwall was in, which we were pleased to see, but even that was at the expense of Roston Chase, who bowled a lot less as a result of Cornwall's inclusion.
Yeah, Tino, I want to ask you this. Can you, as a bowler, and I'm not saying that Shannon Gabriel did this, can you as a bowler, if you're not at optimum fitness, and let me say that I don't think a sportsman or an athlete, man or woman, is ever 100% fit. There's always something that's not quite right, but you can go through with it. Other things are inhibiting on performance, so you can't perform. But Tina, is there a way where a bowler can do enough to satisfy the trainers that he is fit enough, when in real truth, he's not fit enough to deliver an optimum performance, as in the case of a fast bowler? Is that possible? You would know.
He has to be honest with himself. We talked about it yesterday, about players coming up to the coach or the trainer or the physio and let him know, I'm not fully fit. I don't think that I'm fit enough to bowl 2 innings. I don't think Shannon was fit from the second test. So I'm very disappointed that he played. And then he went off. And then he came back on, and obviously he did not bowl like Shannon that we know. We know he's carrying a niggle. So I just think that, I don't know. I just think that the coach probably just tried to convince him that he got one more test and he can go a little harder for the team. Maybe he's thinking that he's putting his body, he's sacrificing his body for the team. But really and truly, George, that's up to Shannon. And from what we can see looking in, it doesn't look like he's fit at all. Because remember, he wasn't fit coming into this series. And he's not played 3 test matches back to back to back. So a guy at some stage in your career or some stage in the day up there, he has to say, I don't think I can make it, guys. He has to be honest.
Yeah, I spoke at the start of this series that Roston Chase was my favorite cricketer among this West Indies bunch. I thought he was criminally underrated, not helped by the fact that sometimes he tends toward ordinary when his ability requires that he can perform dictates that he can perform at a much higher level. But David made the point that because of the presence of Rakeem Cornwall, perhaps Chase didn't get as much work as he would under normal circumstances, and perhaps he would have reaped more rewards for the West Indies. Your perspective on that?
Well, let me just carry you right back to the beginning, because really and truly the toss is a big issue for me. I think that if you're gonna pick the extra spinner and you win the toss, for heaven's sake, you have to bowl last. The wicket is dry. You've got to give the opportunity to your spinners to get 20 wickets by bowling last on a pitch that's probably going to be deteriorating. But I think what really offset the whole game today was the toss. I think that it was a last-minute situation saying, look, I'm going to bowl. I don't think that Jason was thinking. I don't think the coaching staff was thinking, because really and truly, if you pick the same batting lineup, guys, just listen to this for a minute. If you pick the same batting lineup, you as the captain and coach have to say to those players, we believe that if we bat first, you can get 400 runs. Not winning the toss and putting in the bowlers to bowl when you already took away a fast bowler. That doesn't make no sense whatsoever. So I am just like Brooksy. I'm dumbfounded. I don't know what. I think England, out of 100, if we're doing a big carrot cake, out of 100%, England got 70% right today. West Indies got 30. The 4 wickets that they got early was maybe a little inkling that they had made the right decision, but really and truly, if you're really looking at the cricket from a different perspective, I don't think that was good and clever from Jason. And he is a clever fellow. Give me
the answer to the Chase question, though. Chase being underbowled, do you think he was underutilized today?
Absolutely. I think half and half. Rakeem Cornwall got to get into his work. As soon as Roston come on, he got a wicket as well. So there's a little competition there as well, because I can tell you, Roston is a very competitive guy. He's one of those guys that he's very quiet. George, I think you pick a good horse.
Yeah.
As we say in Barbados, George.
Yes.
He's one of those guys that are very, very quiet, but he's super, super competitive. He is a competitor. And he will be saying to himself, well, these guys bring in Big Jimbo Egg and show them that I am a front-line spinner. And I think that is what is going to make the team even more competitive. So that's why I come back to my original point that from the toss, I was surprised, because I honestly believe that Roston and Rakeem Cornwall can bowl England in a 4th inning. I'm just surprised, man.
David, coming into the 3rd test, of course, Jason Holder stressed the fact that he was confident in the batting, he was confident in the bowling, but he felt a lot of work needed to be done in the field. Based on what you saw today, did you see any sort of improvement, or did you see errors that will probably cost us if we don't improve on those errors moving tomorrow?
I think there was improvement, Mariah. There was the run out of Joe Root, which was a very smart piece of work by our man, Roston Chase. him again. And I think the ground fielding was good. I actually don't think... I was surprised that Jason pinpointed the fielding as the area to improve. Okay, it's always an area to improve in any side, isn't it? But is it really the nub of the issue? Is that what's going to change this test match from the last one? Don't forget, we're playing on the same ground. So we've actually got the test of what's going to happen if you bat second on this pitch. And indeed, the history of matches at Old Trafford, they should have asked Sir Clive Lloyd, who's living in Manchester and knows this ground backwards, as to what happens if a team wins the toss and fields first. They almost inevitably lose, or they certainly don't win the test match. And I got the feeling that West Indies were looking for a draw, looking for the drawn series, so they can go back retaining the trophy. And I think that sort of safety-first attitude is wrong. I think it's wrong to pin it all on Jason, though. He's got a coach, and presumably there's a sort of inner circle there making these decisions. And I think he's being poorly advised. If you look back to the series in the Caribbean last year, West Indies were very sharp, made the right decisions tactically, won the series. I don't see the same thought and insight or innovation going into this selection, or the comments from the coach, frankly, have been disappointing, I think.
Tino, based on how the pitch played today, and of course rain has been forecasted for tomorrow, what would you, say to the batsmen and to the bowlers to ensure that, we achieve maximum out of tomorrow's game?
I think trying to go back to Brooksy's point about Jason not having too much, not putting too much blame on me. You're absolutely correct, Brooksy and Mariah. In terms of the captain in that inner circle not making the right decisions. I don't like to go back on the past, but the past sometimes show us how to move forward in the future. And I just thought that the blueprint from how we beat England in the Caribbean was the same blueprint for this series. I'm just saying. But as you were saying, Mariah, the thing is about this is the bowlers have the new ball. Cricket is played on the field. They have to go on running with that new ball, and they got to get wickets early. I still think that if West Indies can restrict England under 350, I think that's a good chance for our batsmen to really get close to the first innings or even get the lead. But anything over 350, I think is going to be very difficult, especially when we got a bat last, and it comes right back to that toss game. But the ball is in the West Indies court. They've got to get wickets with the new ball. The second new ball, beg your pardon, and they have to try to restrict England for no less than 350, 375. Anything over, as we say in Barbados, you ain't guts.
Tino, I heard the solid points that you put forward earlier on about the decision to field first being a bad decision as far as you're concerned. I know it's easy as spectators and as analysts to look on thousands of miles away and make our own analysis of what is happening, but there are people there with solid cricketing brains, the coach, the management team, the captain, and so on. What if they're feeling from their standpoint that, which they have said from before the series started, that the batting is a problem for us and the West Indies batting is the weaker point of the West Indies game? They just came out of a test match where the batting flopped twice. So to decide to bat here on this first morning of a series deciding third test would have been a troubling thought for them.
Lance, this is not golf. You're playing cricket. Suppose England will win the toss, brother. I'm playing West Indies. You made a mistake, brother. You go out to bat and you go out to bowl. What Brooksy said, which was perfect, is like this. If you win the toss, West Indies looking to draw the match, beg your pardon. They're looking to draw the series rather than go and win the game. You got to play every cricket game like a brand new game, obviously, because it's a brand new game. To be honest, you can't think about the second test. You got to go there and look to bat and put 400 runs on the board. You pick back the same batting lineup from since the first test, guys. You've got to show the guys some faith and let them go and bat. You can't hide. Where are they hiding from? What the West Indies going to hide and go, Lance, Mariah, George, and Brooksy? We go come out and bat regardless. So I don't understand why the coaches and why the captain would think that bowling first was the best decision.
Yeah, I think
playing two spinners.
I think Lance,
Yes, Brooksy.
Sorry, Tino. Well, no, I think Lance is right in terms of your question. There was that lack of confidence in the West Indies batting lineup was a factor behind the decision. So
Yeah,
therefore, you've got to go back to the selection, and you've got to say, plus you've got to give confidence in your batsmen and say, that's your job. You've got to go out and do that. You know, especially as you've got if you're not confident in the team that you've selected, bring some people in who you are confident
Thank you very
in.
much.
And don't restrict yourself just to Bonner as the one spare batsman when you're carrying other players. The fact that they're reserve players earning slightly less, give them a bit more to play in this test match. Don't make it on financial considerations. Make it on cricketing considerations.
Yeah.
Choose your best team.
Yeah,
Correct.
Brooksy, you said this earlier on and you hinted at it, but let's be clear in what you're saying. You're suggesting that the reserves were not considered to be injected into the 15 because they would have to be paid a full match fee? Are you suggesting that was a part of the decision?
Definitely, I heard that in my own. I heard that from Johnny Graves, CEO of Cricket West Indies. He said it on the Mason and Guest radio show. He said very clearly that there were financial considerations. The squad was being restricted to 15 unless a player was injured because there was financial and contractual considerations. He's referring to the fact that the reserve players are being treated as reserves and are not on the same remuneration terms as the main 15. That's not a cricketing reason. You're not having to fly anyone in from the other side of the world. They're staying in the same hotel. You've just got to shout, open the door and shout down the corridor. And don't tell me there aren't guys there who are raring to go, whether it's Joshua De Silva, whether it's Shane Mosley. You weren't restricting yourself to the choice of just Bonner as a middle order batsman when what you need is a top 3 batsman, and you've got 2 people who are capable of opening, and you're not considering them for selection. To me, it's baffling.
Okay. All right, David, there is rain in the forecast for Saturday, rain in the forecast for Monday and Tuesday. Do you think the forecast based on the weather would have been a consideration in the West Indies' decision to field first in this game?
Yes, if they're going for a draw. Yes, I think that probably was. Again, it's going to help them get the draw. They're not going to have to expose the top order. The one thing we can look forward to, there might be other things, because cricket's an unpredictable game, but Kemar Roach is 1 wicket away from 200 wickets. The first West Indian to will be the first West Indian to hit 200 since Curtly Ambrose in 1994. Tino, you must want to pay tribute to Kemar. He's a fine bowler, and he bowled really well today. He was much better than normal, much better than we've seen the rest of the series.
Yeah. Kemar was brilliant today. I love how he set up both opening batsmen. Kemar is another competitor as well. Had the opportunity to open bowling with him in a number of test matches. And look, he sets you up beautifully. I thought he set up Don Sibley beautifully. And then Stokes, he rattled Stokes. He gave away the 4, took him away, then brought it back in beautifully. I thought that was masterful. It just goes to show when you give players the opportunity to play consistently, what they can produce, and he's now reaping those rewards, and I can't wait for him to get 200 wickets. Congratulations to the young man. He's really hanged in, and he had that 2 years that he was dropped from the team as well. He really went back and he came back even more focused. So kudos to him. Well done, young man. Anything that the West Indies players do and stuff, I always happy for them.
So, gentlemen and lady, we've been looking at the West Indies for good reason, because this is where we are. If I look at the numbers around the partnerships in the batting for England so far, the first wicket, partnership of a run. Then we had a partnership of 46 between Root and Burns. Then Stokes and Burns put on 45. Burns and Pope put on 30. And Butler and Pope have put 136 already on the board. Let's talk a little bit, David, about what England have done in terms of setting their stall out. It is clear that the message to the England batsmen is bat patience, bat time. After you bat, if you bat patiently and bat time, you will have a partnership on the board in no time. And that seems to be the approach that is working for them very well so far from these numbers.
Absolutely, George. That partnership, the last one you mentioned between Pope and Butler, very, very important for both players. Pope's a youngster making his way in the game. He oozed class, didn't he? As he got into his work, he really did look like a star performer, and why he's so highly thought of. And as for Jos Butler, you know, we talk about West Indies players worried about their place in the side. A lot of pressure on Jos Butler today, who's being seen as a white ball player who hasn't adjusted his game for Test cricket. And today was the first real evidence that he's prepared to make the changes, that he has made the changes. He was very patient at the start. Hardly any runs, a strike rate of 12 after 30 balls. And then he accelerated, and he's there, not out on 56, huge innings for Joss Butler, because every wicketkeeper in the country was queuing up to replace him, and looks like he cemented his place in this team. So, yeah, a very, very good partnership from those two guys.
Tino, a lot of the criticism has come to the West Indies bowlers, well, and their captain, for the comparison to what England did in the previous test. England, several bouncers, going around the wicket, doing things to break up a partnership, trying to knock a batsman out of his stride. And the criticism laid at the West Indies door is that they have not done the same thing. They've almost stood by, allowed partnerships to develop, and allowed batsmen to set themselves in and build from there. Is that a fair criticism given the tools at Joe Root's disposal and before him Ben Stokes and the bowlers that Jason Holder has to use, especially given that arguably his quickest bowler, Shannon Gabriel, his fitness is questionable and has been questionable from even during the second test?
Yeah, I mean, George, you just asked me the questions and answered them yourself as well. Yeah, there's no aggression. You said it. The English have been so aggressive at us, bowling a lot of short pitch balls, but they also bowl some very good nagging lanes. We don't have an enforcer. We can see that Ben Stokes is an enforcer. Sam Curran is a seamer. Broad is an enforcer at times. So you can see different roles at different times with the English bowlers. You don't see that with the West Indies bowlers. So the John Public is rightfully in saying that we don't let Ashley go a plan. I thought how Kemar Roach bowled today was a plan. He hit Stokes, he gave him another short ball, then he sets him up beautifully. So I think that West Indies just need to inject a little bit more aggression with that new ball with Shannon. And then it comes right back to them again. They have to pick fit, fast bowlers to be aggressive. If you're going to pick guys who have niggles and aches and soreness, you're just going to bowl line and length, and England going to score 500. So you're right. They need aggression. They need aggression injected in their bowling going into tomorrow's for sure.
Gentlemen, wanted to have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of the match. We'll see you on Monday. And Tina, you can bring out another very good-looking SportsMax shirt to light up the screen, my friend. David, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. David Brooke and Tina Best there. So a hard day's cricket for the West Indies. It didn't start like that at early in the game when they took those first 4 wickets. It looked as if the plan to bowl first was a masterstroke, but then England dug in, as is the nature with Test cricket. It happens every test. A team loses early wickets and then they consolidate. This period of consolidation for England now looks particularly ominous because of the issues concerning Shannon Gabriel's fitness and the fact that Rakeem Cornell and to a lesser extent Ruston Chase haven't really troubled the batsmen significantly, even though Kemar Roach has bowled well for us so far.
Definitely, George, and I feel like going in tomorrow, all we have to do is just come back out with that energy and of course try to break the partnership right now. Tino and David made a massive point, and I feel like that struck me. I feel the selectors, they don't have confidence in the batsmen, and that's the reason why they chose not to bat today.
But why would they have confidence in the batsmen? It's a good point, because I've been saying all week.
No, but then why not fix it?
Fix it how?
Remove Shea Hope and bring in
replace them
somebody.
with whom? When you look, remember, it's the reason I've not touched it in this conversation that we've been having all week is because it's something I've been saying every time I talk about West Indies cricket. We forget the West Indies cricket loving public, that we're not talking about, we don't have world-class batsmen galore. We don't have guys in the reserves who've lit up first-class cricket, who've dominated first-class cricket, who have some compelling stats, and who put the men in the team under significant pressure, and who, when the men in the team are in a poor run of form, then it's a simpler task for the selector to say, okay, you come in from the cold, you take a rest. If you look at those who we're talking about should replace Shea Hope, who should replace John Campbell, no disrespect, but the Silva's career is still being built. Nkrumah Bonner is not a proven campaigner at Test level. He is not a brilliant batsman at first class level at all. So we're talking about those guys and talking them up only because of how poor those in the 11 are rather than how good those in the reserves are. And that's a problem that we have, and it's just a reality. The West Indies squad, the batting isn't deep enough based on talent, and the Hetmeyer and the Darren Bravo hole in the team is affecting the West Indies right now, I think.
Yeah, to put a punctuation mark on what you just said, George, the most likely replacement for Shea Hope probably would have been Nkrumah Bonner, who has never played a test match, and his first-class batting average is about 27.
There you go.
So there are real problems
Full
there.
stop.
And that's not to say that Hope shouldn't lose his place.
Yes,
but we cannot feel that if you put Hope out, you've solved the problem, because the quality of batsmen not really there to choose from. Yeah.